Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast, and it's our Super Bowl. It's kind of our Super Bowl show. We are joined by probably someone you may have seen before, or someone I don't know. Thomas Baia from St. Bonaventure University. Yeah, we'll get to the other St. Bonaventure person that comes on here a lot. We'll get to him later. How's it going, Thomas?
It's going great, Casey. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so let's talk about Super Bowl. We have tomorrow. This is a pretty big game. We'll talk about your Bills later. But Bengals Rams. Where are we at in that? This is like one of those Super Bowls where it's like we don't know. I wouldn't be mad if either team won. Bengals, obviously, they have never won a Super Bowl. And then you have the Rams. Of course, Matthew Stafford hasn't won one yet. So a lot of those players haven't won one either. So it's a lot of people are going to get their first Super Bowl this weekend. So how do you feel heading into this matchup? What do you feel like is going to happen in this game? Predict that.
Well, it's a Super Bowl that we all predicted at the beginning of the year, right? Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford, Rams, Bengals. Everyone called that one, right? No, but and like you said, it is really interesting. This is probably the most recent Super Bowl I can think of where I am not going to be mad if one team wins. Like if I could root for both teams, I would. And it's probably because a lot of people didn't like the Patriots, and the Patriots have been in it forever. It seems like every year we're watching the Patriots play some team from the NFC, and we're just so used to rooting against the Patriots. Now the Chiefs are not even in it, and you could see, a lot of Bills fans would be rooting against the Chiefs. You'd have that, but it's the lovable Bengals, the complete underdog, had the same odds to win the Super Bowl as the Jets did at the beginning of the year, and here they are. And then you have the Rams, who mainly a lot of people would be rooting for Matt Stafford because he was stuck in Detroit forever, made the trade over to the Rams, and now here he is representing the Rams in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a very good game. I've seen a lot of different predictions. I see people, predicting 28-13. And then you see the crazy scores that are like, 36-33. I mean, we're seeing everything. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think the Rams are going to end up pulling this out. I think their defensive line against the Bengals offensive line is just a complete mismatch. That's the biggest weakness for the Bengals, blocking for Joe Burrow. It can be a mess up there. They won a playoff game by somehow giving up 7 sacks. It's insane. I don't know how they did it, but I think the Rams are going to end up winning. I think 31-26, and the Rams hold Joe Burrow on a late 2-minute drive, and Joe Burrow can't get in the end zone. I think it's going to be a really, really fun Super Bowl.
How do you stop Joe Burrow?
Well, it's hard. I think for the Rams, if you can keep him in the pocket, I think that's going to be huge because, again, like I said, they can't really block for him. And Burrow was really good against the Chiefs in that second half at rolling out and making plays, not even so much with his legs like you see a Russell Wilson, a Josh Allen, or Lamar, but just extending plays. He would run for a couple, but he was able to extend plays, escape the pocket. And that's where it gets really tough on defensive backs, even for a great secondary like the Rams have with Jalen Ramsey, because you can't cover a guy for 7 seconds. It's really hard. And when they're doing those scramble drills and the wide receivers are just running to get open, and Joe Burrow is so good at finding them, that's where I think you have to keep Joe Burrow in the pocket, and hopefully your defensive backs like Jalen Ramsey can hold down the fort back there.
So how do you contain someone like Cooper Kupp that has kind of been Matthew Stafford's favorite time? I mean, yes, he had Calvin here in Detroit, but when you look at what he's been able to do this season, and plus Matthew Stafford's got weapons now because he can go throw to Odell too and a bunch of other people.
That's the hard thing is when you have all these weapons, when you have Cooper Kupp, when you have Odell, when you have Jefferson, when you have Higbee, when you have all these guys and a running game, it's so hard. Now they're in a little bit of an interesting situation, the Bengals are, because they don't have a Ramsey who can just take away, like Ramsey, I assume is going to just take away Jamar Chase for Burrow. That's what I'm going to predict. And I think a lot of people would say that. I don't know if the Bengals have that one corner. They have some good corners, but I don't think they have that one stud corner that can just take away a Cooper Kupp. So I think it's going to be really tough for them to stop. And Cooper Kupp is so dynamic. He can go deep. He can do these intermediate crossing routes, these short slant routes he's so good at. And Stafford looks his way all the time. And even if they do decide to double him, if they do, maybe Jesse Bates and in another corner. If they decide to do that, I think Sean McVay and the Rams will say, okay, fine. You want a double Cooper Cup? Well, you can go ahead and do that. But we got Odell, we got Jefferson, we got all these other guys. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they're going to do.
What's more shocking, the Rams making the Super Bowl or the Bengals making the Super Bowl?
Oh, the Bengals are so surprising. The Rams they have so many studs and so many players and a great quarterback that I'm not exactly surprised. And our friend Nate predicted Rams Browns. I never stopped giving him crap about picking the Browns, but he did get the Rams right. So I'll give him credit for that. But the Rams have everything. They have a good quarterback, a great coach. They got Odell. They have another receiver in Cup. They have Jefferson. They have a great defensive front. They added Von Miller. They have a great secondary. Eric Weddle comes out of retirement. He's going to win the Super Bowl, then go back to, living on the beach. I mean, that's just insane. I think the Rams are a complete stud of a team. They have almost all the options. It's almost like they're playing Madden with the salary cap off, with the amount of people that they're paying. It's ridiculous. And then you have the lovable Bengals, who, yes, they have Joe Burrow, who is a winner, proven winner, win in college. He's now winning in the NFL. But I don't think anybody was predicting the Bengals to not only make the Super Bowl, but how about even win their division? I don't think a lot of people predicted the Bengals to win their division. I know I didn't. I think I had the Ravens winning that division, and then obviously everybody got hurt. And then you're like, okay, well, the Ravens aren't going to win. Maybe the Browns will win it. Nope, they're actually really bad. Baker Mayfield might not be that guy. And then somehow Joe Burrow just keeps winning games. And they've had some tough losses. They lost to the Jets. Everyone knows about the Mike White. They lost to the Bears. They've had some tough losses, but they're hot at the right time, and they're just winning and winning and winning. And Joe Burrow he's just that guy. So I would say the Bengals are way more surprising to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, everyone thought the Browns were going to do some big things this year, though. And then we turn out that I got a friend of mine who's a huge Browns fan. So it's like I've waited for this. I'm like, you live in Cleveland. So that's what happens because you live in Cleveland. So there you go. So I can't mention this, but your radio team was out in LA. I think they're on as of right now, as of we're speaking, they're probably on the plane ride home back to New York State. But they did something out there that you got really, really jealous about. And of course, that is for those of you who don't know, Nate's the college Thomas's radio station. I feel like I'm talking. Nathan comes on here so often. It feels like I feel like I'm talking to him. But about 6 of the WSBU radio college students went out to were part of Radio Row. Of course, that's where all radio stations from all across the country and all over the world come to preview the upcoming Super Bowl. And the 6 of them got to meet Josh Allen, of course, the quarterback of the Bills. Thomas, who are you a fan of?
I'm a huge Bills fan, diehard. I think you can maybe see behind me the Josh Allen poster I got right there. Yeah.
Okay, so when you got sent that, what was your first reaction?
Well, believe it or not, I was actually getting my hair cut. I went with a buddy of mine.
Nice.
And I'm getting my hair cut, and he's over there waiting. He's next, and he just says, "Thomas." I go, "What?" He goes, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What? What happened?" And he goes, "Nate just met Josh Allen." And I told the barber, I'm like, stop cutting my hair. No, hang on. I go, what did you just say? Shows me the phone of the picture of all of them meeting Josh Allen. And I was like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. Now I'm so happy that he went, and they all did a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, they were fantastic. They had great interviews. They did great. But the fact that he got to meet Josh Allen and the other guys that went there, none of them are Bills fans. We got a Jets fan, we got a Patriots fan, we got a Cowboys fan, a Seahawks fan, and I don't even know what else. None of them are Bills fans. I mean, I could tell you more about Josh Allen that they could, if they had this Wikipedia page up. I mean, I was so jealous, but I was so, happy for them. But God, it hurt. But I told Nate, I said, if I'm able to go next year, which crossing our fingers, we won't be able to meet Josh Allen because Josh will be preparing for the big game and he won't have time to go to Radio Row. And of course, Nate said, yeah, we'll see about that. But I thought it was cool for them. A little jealous, actually a lot jealous, but I was happy for them that they had a good time out there.
I mean, Zach Wilson probably wasn't available at the time. So, I mean, I don't think he was even there. So that's
they don't let him within 5 miles of the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's true. You know, it's Jets got to get there first. To be honest with you, though, if you were out there and you met Josh Allen, I don't know what you would do with yourself, though.
I don't know what I would do either. I would probably, I think my knees would start shaking. I would go up to shake his hand and my hand would be shaking. He'd be thinking in his head, who the heck let this guy come up to me? I would be such a fanboy. I try to be so professional because I'm out there, for Radio Row. I would try to be so professional, but then I'd see him and I'd be like a kid in a candy store. I mean, I would just be going so crazy. It's so easy for me to sit now. Like if I interviewed Josh Allen, what would I ask him? And I have some questions that I would ask him, about, Laramie, Wyoming, all that stuff, no offers. But then you get out in the real, and you're there with him and you're like, oh geez, I wouldn't be able to talk to him. It's like talking to, almost like your hero. You don't know what to say. So I don't know. I would, I'd be nervous, but I think hopefully after like a minute of shaking, I think I'd pull myself together. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to ask you one more thing about Josh Allen first. He kind of said something at the NFL honors award ceremony about that. I know that, I know you're still not over the Chiefs game, as many Bills and many NFL fans aren't, but you think something gets done with that overtime thing?
Well, I've always said, and I can't be a hypocrite here. I can't go back on what I've said. I'm not saying I love the overtime rules because I don't, but I've always said, to teams that, complain about the overtime rules, I'm like, well, you know what? If you don't want to deal with them, win in regulation. And I still say that about the Bills. If the Bills didn't want to mess with the overtime rules, don't let the 13 seconds happen. It's just that simple. At least it should have been. But I don't know if anything will get done because the problem that the NFL has, they don't love their overtime rules. They've said, they might not be the best, but the problem is because they're the rules in the regular season too. It's not like they're different in the playoffs. Yeah. They don't want long games, like a whole 15-minute overtime period. In college, you can just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They don't want that. They want shorter games. And I think that, it does suck that it comes down to a coin toss. I get all that. I don't know if anything gets done. There's been some proposals, of what could happen. I mean, I've seen things like, you do the coin toss, the team that wins it gets to choose where on the field the ball goes. And then the other team gets to choose, okay, well, can we be on offense or defense? It's kind of an interesting thing. I think they're going to talk about it this offseason, which is one of the things the NFL they're great at. They'll change the rules if they don't work right away. Remember they had that stupid thing where you could challenge pass interference. Remember all that? Yeah. They got rid of that right away. They realized it didn't work, which I respect about that. So I don't know if they're going to switch it. I thought what Josh Allen said at the NFL awards or the NFL honors was hilarious. I'm assuming it was scripted, but even if it was still so funny. But I don't know what they're going to do about the overtime rules.
Yeah. I do want to ask you, I know this is really about Super Bowl, but I do want to ask you something else. I know there's another big storyline heading in there about, another sport that you are passionate about, and as well as I am, is baseball. Of course, Major League Baseball is currently locked out right now. And it looks like spring training is going to get delayed. And if something doesn't happen, it looks like the season could get cut into as well. I know that the league and the players are trying to do all they can to make sure that doesn't happen. But what is going to happen, you think? Because it seems like we're getting into, I don't know how much you read up about what happened in '94, but it's looking like that scenario could possibly happen. I don't know if it's going to, but I know there are a lot of people, including me, that are worried about it.
Right. And from what I've heard about '94, obviously I wasn't alive for that. But from what I hear, there was a season, it was happening, and then almost in the middle of it, shut down, lockout, right, if I'm remembering correctly, and then there wasn't a World Series. Yep. So the same type of thing, but kind of the opposite. Now, the beginning of the season might not happen. Maybe the second half of the season will happen. So that's either or is not great. But it never, the MLB never fails to amaze me at how much they can embarrass themselves. Really. I mean, you think about what's going on in the world right now with COVID and, all this other stuff. And it happened in 2022. People are, barely making money to put food on their family because of COVID. And what are these millionaires and billionaires doing? They're trying to see how to divide the pie since they're only going to play 60 games. It was ridiculous. It's such a bad look for your sport. Now you fast forward here to the lockout. All right, we knew the lockout was coming. And if you go back to when it first happened in December, an agent who said to Jeff Passan, a reporter for MLB, said, "This is when I'll talk to you next." He said, "Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy St. Patrick's Day, Happy April Fool's Day, Happy Cinco de Mayo, and I'll see you on Flag Day," which is in June. So that's what he said back then. And I don't know if it's going to go that much further because they have figured out a couple things, not a lot of needle movers. Like Manfred just came out and said, we're going to adopt the universal DH. Thank the Lord that we're done with seeing pitchers hit. I'm tired of seeing, the Bartolo Colon home run, that was great when it happened. Okay, what about the other time? I mean, pitchers' batting average is like 130. It's not worth it. I mean, is the double switch that impressive? Is that, no, people want to see a DH who's going to hit 35 home runs. That's what the sport is. Offense, offense, offense. That's what it should be. Not pitchers, grounding out in a rally comes to an end because, Jacob deGrom's got it. Well, he's actually a good pitcher.
Yes.
Or a good hitter, excuse me. He's a good pitcher too. But it's just not worth it. And, we've seen it. It ended Chien-Ming Wang's career for the Yankees. I mean, he got hurt when he was hitting and running. Tanaka pulled both his hamstrings running from third to home on a sac fly. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the other thing that they did was the draft lottery is something that we're going to see. So that's to eliminate tanking, which is good. I like that. They also eliminated draft pick compensation. Now that's something that is really strong. So basically what that is when you have teams in the middle, the middle of the pack teams, there's free agents out there that they could sign that could help them, but they don't want to because if you sign that player, you have to give up a draft pick. And these middle teams are like, well, why would I want to sign him? We're probably not going to win, go to the playoffs or win the World Series, and I'll keep my draft pick. That's gone because that's the big problem are these lower level free agents that aren't getting the jobs or the money that they want. So that's huge. The things that are still on the table, players, they want the revenue sharing. That is a complete mess because revenue sharing is basically the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, all these big market teams are giving money that they make to the Kansas City Royals, the Tampa Bay Rays, these smaller market teams, Oakland. You see, and that's good because they're making more money and it should be shared. But the problem is when Oakland gets this money, when Tampa gets this money, they just put it in their pocket. They're not spending it. So that's one of the things that the players are like, okay, well, you're getting money from the Yankees. I mean, why don't we just give it all to the Yankees and they'll spend $400 million a year and then we all get paid. So that's something that they're going to have to negotiate. And it's just such a mess. And it's never, I don't know when it's going to end. I doubt we have spring training. I know they're looking at 4 weeks of spring training right now, but I bet you we're going to see first pitch of actual meaningful baseball probably like May 5th. May 5th. That's when I think we get it done.
Okay. That's good because college baseball will keep us entertained. I mean, we got the NBA playoffs. I know you're not an NBA, NHL guy. We still have those. There's all these other things that, college baseball is still going to happen. High school baseball will still happen. I don't even know if you follow high school baseball. But
I played it, not anymore. I like hockey playoffs. I do like the NHL playoffs. I do watch that.
That's going to be insane this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at in terms of that. Hopefully we get something. We'll get something going. I mean, I think everybody knows what's going to be on the line. Fans might. The thing is, it's also a risk of, are you going to turn off the fan base again? Because that's going to be another factor in terms of it. Are people going to show up to the park again?
And that's the big problem. Casey, you said it so perfectly there. You're going to eventually. Your fan base is going to turn you off. I mean, right now you've been battling since 2020 vocally. The players and the owners have never gotten along. That's been going on forever. I mean, with Kurt Flood, I mean, you can go back in time and, whatever, but they've never gotten along, and they're arguing over millions and billions of dollars. So that's just not a good look. And eventually you're just going to turn your fan base off, and they're just going to say, you know what, the hell with you. If you want to argue over pennies and dollars, for you guys, what it is, then you know what, we'll just go watch the NFL, who is pretty much a perfect league. If it seems like they just do everything right. But MLB and the Players Association, they did meet today, actually. They did meet today. No real details have come out of what they've offered, but I know they made an offer. It's just going to get rejected. There was a mediator that they want to bring in. What the Players Association doesn't want that because they have had bad experience with it. So, the other thing I wanted to say is the Players Association, for the past like 3 CBAs that they've signed, after like 5 years of signing them, they look back and they're like, oh, that was a bad deal that we signed. I hope that they're not going to just try and make it all up in this one signing. You got to ease your way back to get it to where you want, because MLB has been winning, in quotes, these negotiations, and the Players Association is pretty ticked off. So now they're going to try and, get it all back in one thing, in one negotiation. But I think you just got to, slowly ease your way back.
Yeah, it's a mess, and that's what it's going to be. So eventually it'll come. Not sure when though. We'll find out though.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, me too. All right, Thomas, thank you so much, bud. We'll definitely be talking later on, and maybe if we get another update on this MLB thing. I know you've been following it pretty closely, so we'll have you back on again.
Casey, I appreciate it. Anytime you want me to come on, just shoot me a text. You know where to find me. I'd love to come on again. Thank you so much.